guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Lacz Denton Quartz Chronograph. I purchased this watch from the Lacz Denton official store on AliExpress for the full retail price of $99 US. The watch comes in two different colorways. You have either the reverse or evil panda that you see here, and then you have the more traditional panda dial. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, which we will test in just a little bit. It has a push-pull crown, a screw-down case back, 50 meters of claimed water resistance, either a leather strap or a Melanese mesh that you see here, and it is powered by the Seiko VK64 Mecha Quartz movement. This watch is really close to being a good option. If you're looking for a nice quartz chronograph, this is so close to being good. They need to revise this thing though. There's one thing that needs to change before I can recommend it. For now, honestly, I would pass, or at the very least wait for someone else to review the white dial. But before we get into the details, let's do a quick wrist check for the day. Today I am wearing a Baltony field watch on a green Perlon strap. I think this thing looks awesome. Not quite on the channel yet, but it is coming soon. Alright, so onto the dimensions. We have a 40 millimeter case. It is 11.2 millimeters thick. We have 20 millimeter lug width, and we've got an overall length of 48 millimeters. So I do think this is a really nice size watch. That 40 by 48, really nice. It's not too thick or anything like that. It wears great. You do have just slight turn down to those lug tips there. But it is fairly flat, I'd say. But it does look pretty good, and it wears pretty well too. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. Here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, it wears great. The lug to lug, I think, is perfectly acceptable. It does have slight turn down to those lug tips there, which is nice. On this included Melanese strap, I think it looks pretty decent at least. Yeah, overall, I'm usually not a fan of these straps, but this one doesn't look too bad. But yeah, as you can see, it is perfectly legible. You got no issues with legibility, except when you get out in some sunlight. You can see here, out in direct sunlight, it does get washed out quite a bit. I think the lack of anti-reflective coating on this thing, a little bit of an issue, especially when trying to photograph it. Usually in normal viewing conditions, it's not bad at all. You do get lots of light play off of those subdials, as you can see there. Yeah, I'm unsure how I feel about them, but you do get lots of light play off the indices as well. They sparkle nicely, and the hands are white against the black, so you're never going to really lose those. But yeah, I do think overall it is fairly legible. Just a little bit of an issue with that non-anti-reflective coated crystal, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, I think it looks pretty good, and I'm going to go throw this on a bunch of straps. And here we are on a 2-stitch leather strap. Link is down below. And I think it looks pretty good on this one. This is how I've been wearing it mostly. And yeah, it gives a pretty cool look in my opinion. I do like it. What do you guys think? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's go throw it on some other ones. And here we are on a brown suede strap. I think this one looks pretty good. Again, link will be down below. Yeah, very comfortable strap. And I think it looks pretty good with the black and the Fotina. Yeah, what do you guys think? Yeah, I thought I'd throw some color at it. Here we are on a bright blue Perlon strap. I think this looks pretty good. Very summery look and feel to it. Very lightweight combination. I think it looks pretty fun. What do you guys think? Yeah, I do like it. Here we are on a black Nato strap. 2 layers underneath the watch there. Still looks pretty good, I think. And yeah, I think the black on black, it's not going to look bad at all. And it's yeah, pretty nice combo actually. I kind of like this one. If I was going to have to pick one of them, this would probably be it. Maybe the black leather I thought also looked good. But what do you guys think? Let's go back inside and let's get back to the review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. So case finishing on this, it's actually done pretty good. It is very, very simple. It is fully polished. As you can see, there's not a single brushed surface on this thing. So it's going to pick up little scratches, as you can see there on the back of the case. It's going to pick up scratches on the case itself. But I mean, that's just the nature of polished material. It is stainless steel, so that's nice. It's got decent weight to it. But yeah, I think it's done fairly good. So I'm just going to give you a quick side profile shot here. fully polished, fully straight case. There's no like rounded edges or anything like that. I think it looks all right. The polishing, it's done pretty good. I've got no major issues with it. I mean, as you can see, kind of that transition from the light to the dark on this lug here, it's a little soft, but I mean, that's stuff that you really only notice when you're getting up close like this. On the wrist, I haven't noticed any issues with the polishing. I think it's done to an acceptable standard. As you can see here on the other side, you do have a signed crown there. It is just a push-pull crown, so you can get that emblem rotated nicely. But there's the Lacz Denton emblem. It looks a lot like a Porsche emblem almost. But yeah, I think the crown, it's done all right. No real issues with it. It almost looks like it's not quite seated fully, but I can't really confirm or deny that. Just simple pushers here, non-guarded. But that kind of goes with the look of it. And I think overall, though, I think they did a pretty decent job on the case. I'm pretty happy with it. The case back, as you can see here, it's got your typical spec sheet around the outside. It actually says 10 bar. That's interesting. I'm going to have to double check the specs on this thing. I thought it was only 50 meters. But yeah, fully polished case back. It does have just your simple notches to get a tool there. And yeah, overall, not too bad. Underside of the case is polished as well. And this is where you kind of see corners cut. You can see the polishing on the bottom of the lugs is not great. But that's on the bottom of the lugs. You never see it, so no big deal. All right, so let's test this crystal for sapphire. And just for, my sanity, I'm going to double check this. So there it is. It is positive for sapphire. And just to make sure, I have a Baltony watch, definitely sapphire. So that is, and then I've got a Corju watch, which definitely is not sapphire. So there you go. That's a pretty good indication that we actually do have sapphire crystal, which is again weird because this thing is listed as having a K1 or hard Lacz crystal. So it is actually sapphire crystal. It is perfectly flat. It is no anti-reflective coating or anything like that, and that's kind of a big deal. Not really when you're actually looking at the watch, but definitely when you're trying to take a picture of it, it's really a pain. But I think for the most part, it is still pretty legible behind the crystal there. But yeah, I do wish they would do something different with it. Maybe do a bubble dome sapphire, or either put anti-reflective coating on it, something like that. It would really take this piece to the next level. And I think at that $100 price range, you can actually do that with this watch. All right, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. And the dial is kind of where this watch starts to fall apart for me. Up until now, I think everything is acceptable, and I'm pretty happy with it. But this dial, it was so close. I actually heard that at the very beginning, these subdials were white. They changed them to these silver kind of sunburst dials, and they look fine, but I definitely think they kind of cheapen the look of it a little bit. So I wish they would have stayed with white subdials. The handset on this thing, the handset is just, it's wrong. If you look at the renders, the minute and hour hands are a little bit thicker than this, and I think they look pretty good. But they're white. Why did they go with white hands on this? I don't understand. I'm usually a sucker for white hands against a black dial just because of the legibility. But you've got polished indices and then sparkly subdials, and then you've got white hands. Those should definitely be silver hands. Maybe if you wanted to keep the chronograph second hand white, that would have been fine. But yeah, these hours and minute hands, they're a little too narrow and they're a little too white. They need to be silver. And then throw in the fact that they're using white lume instead of Fotina lume to match the dial. It just ruins the entire look for me. I was really disappointed when I got this thing out of the box. It's a really nice watch, but they just lost it with those hands. So Lacz Denton, if you guys are watching this, switch these hands up, please. Put on normal silver hands, maybe bulk them up just a little bit, and I think you'd have a winner on your hands. Nobody is doing this watch, and I think they deserve to have a nice one. If all you got to do is switch those hands, Fotina on the hands, and bulk them up with a little silver, a little white, I think it would be good. But, getting into the details of the dial, like I mentioned, you do have polished indices at all the hour markers except 6 o'clock, where you have a nicely framed date window, nice big date too, which is nice to see. You've got your Lacz Denton logo here at the 12 o'clock position. chronograph at 6 o'clock. I think it all looks really good. You got a really nice tachymeter scale around the outside, and that is on like a chapter ring almost. It's a very steep chapter ring, but it is a chapter ring. So that's a really interesting detail, gives some depth to the dial, pretty nicely done. You got little plots of photina all around as well. Those I think are acceptable. They look pretty good. The hands on the subdials are a glossy black. Those, contrast nicely with the silver. And I think they look pretty good. You've got your 60-minute timer here for your chronograph, which is only, has the 5-minute marking. So you're going to struggle to, really find the time when you're timing things. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be a very accurate chronograph. And then you've got a 24-hour dial over here. I think the subdials are done pretty nicely. Like I said, they do kind of cheapen the look to me. I really wish they would have just gone plain white dials, but they are what they are. And yeah, they're fine. They're not anything special. But I mean, you do have some nice detail in there with the concentric circles and a couple different layers to them. I think they look pretty good. The printing is also done, to an acceptable standard. So I am fairly happy with the dial on this thing. It's just those hands. Those hands just really ruin it for me. They're good size, I think, as far as length goes. But like I said, they could bulk up the minute and hour hand, and then put on some photina, and it would be good. But as of now, it's a complete letdown for me. And speaking of letdowns, let's talk about the Lume. Pop up a Lume shot right now. Here you can see it against some other chronographs in the collection. And I mean, it's a chronograph. It's a $100 chronograph. The Lume is going to be terrible. Don't buy this thing for the Lume. The Lume on this actually is halfway decent for being a chronograph, but it's still nothing that you're going to want to rely on. Right, so let's talk about the movement. So the movement, as you can see, the chronograph hand is running. It is, I think it's 4 or 5 ticks per second. And then you've got your 60-minute counter here. So this will run for 60 minutes and then it'll stop. But yeah, I think it's the Seiko VK64. It is perfectly acceptable. I love these movements. You get really nice feedback to the pushers here. So very happy with that, nice and snappy. And then you click this down here. This resets it. It'll just snap back. Everything is aligned really nicely. Yeah, I'm really happy with the movement. You got your first position here. You pull it out, and that changes your date. The date does appear to be very centered, which is nice to see. And it is 6 o'clock, so it's nice that they put on a custom date wheel. Very happy with that. The second position, obviously, is just your typical time setting position. And it works and functions just as you would expect. It is a simple push-pull crown, so no worrying about threading or anything like that, no winding, anything like that. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. I think the battery life on these is like 2 years or 3 years. I've never had an issue with it. These things, this is what I use to set all my watches to. So I've got a couple VK63s and VK64s that I keep in the watch box just so I can, quickly glance at them and see what the time is and set my other watches to that. Yeah, they're great. I've got no problem with them, especially at this price point. I'm very happy with it. All right, so let's talk about the strap on this. So the strap is a Milanese mesh. It is pretty nicely done, 20 millimeters straight all the way through. It's decently thick. I've only got one other Milanese strap, and that was from a Seagull. This one is definitely thicker, feels a lot better, I think. It is very flexible, very comfortable. It doesn't pull hairs or anything like that. It does come with quick release spring bars, so that's nice to see. Yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm usually not a fan of these things. I'm still not a fan of them, but this one actually looks pretty good. Get you some nice detail there. I mean, it's a fine strap. It's pretty comfortable. You can see that's about all the flex you get on them, but again, it's never really been an issue to me. You got plenty of adjustments here. You just kind of pop up this little latch here, and then you can slide this whole piece up and down the strap here and get a really nice fit. The nice thing about these straps is that the excess kind of tucks underneath, as you can see there, so you don't have any extra flopping around or anything like that. Pretty nicely done. You got the end here with the metal part is covered up by this metal piece. Everything works just fine. I'm not exactly sure what makes a Milanese strap good and what makes a Milanese strap bad, but I've never had an issue with this one. And you can see, sorry, it's kind of hard to do it on camera, but perfectly functional in normal life. But yeah, you got nice solid action on that stuff. Very happy with that. No Lacz Denton branding, which is a little bit of a letdown, but I think it looks pretty good. It's been very comfortable. I've got no problems with it. So there you go, guys. That is the Lacz Denton chronograph. It's so close. Just change those two hands, and this would be a definite recommendation from me for right now, though. Unless that white one looks a little bit different and comes with silver hands, I would pass on this watch. There's some other really nice chronographs in this price range. Definitely the Corju Speedy, I think, is an excellent value at like half this price. I think the Pagani design, I'm going to butcher these numbers, but the Pagani design Speedy V3, the Pagani design PD1718, I think those are excellent values. And you can get those things for like $80. And I would definitely recommend those over this one. So just something to consider. I know this is a classic, just a classic style, and they actually pull it off really good besides those hands. If this had those hands on it, I would definitely be loving this watch. But as of right now, I'm just not a fan. Definitely not a fan at all. So, just something to consider. Maybe wait for someone to review one of the white dial ones, see if that's any better. But as of right now, I'm just not a fan of that. So I think that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.